Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the session on variables. Now here we are going to talk about right from the scratch till the deeper level, till the OCA certification level, which is the first certification in Java, Oracle Certified Associate. Till that level we would like to go, till that deeper level we would like to go on the concepts of variables. Now in these variables, why I'm going to talk about variables. Why do we need it? First of all, say we have already done this print statements program, right? This print statements we were using directly all the variables, all the values were there, right? 10 by 2, 10 plus 2, okay, string 10 plus string 20, like we also had good plus night. Say for example, now the time is afternoon and over here you would like to print good afternoon. Now whenever it is time between 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock PM time, at that point of time it should print afternoon. From 4 o'clock till 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock we can print evening, and after that we can print good night. Okay, and in the morning, right from 4 o'clock in the morning we till 12 o'clock we can print what? Good morning. Now see how many values are changing right now. See, these many values are changing, and if you see that all the time you are attached with the values, every time it is changing, so you will not be able to take hold of this. So what do? Is we try to store these values in some type of a container, and these containers actually holds the value, and we refer to those containers what is there inside it. Got it? That's why we use variables. Certain times the values keeps on changing. Okay, the tendency of values sometimes would be of a change. That's why we store those values in a variable and we connect or we refer to the variables where all of these values are stored. That's why we use variables. Now coming back to the point. Here in this section we have reached now to the variables concept. Now in this variable concept we are going to dive deeper into it, and how many types of variables are there we are going to see. So let's go ahead and understand like what are the three major steps to declare a variable. Okay, now when we are talking about guys the variables, we will have three things always associated with the variables. What are those? You could see over here only. That is, first you will have to declare a variable, thereafter you will have to initialize a variable, and after that, since you have done declaration and initialization, you need to utilize it also. Okay, it is like stock market. You will have to earn some money, then you will have to invest that money. Since you have earned that money and invested that money, you will have to again utilize that money also, right? So these all three steps are there related to variables. Now how do we go ahead and how do we understand this part? What happens in the declaration part? This is the first part, right? Now what happens in the declaration part? Let us understand this. Now in the declaration part, how do we do the declaration? Let us see syntax. When I say syntax is, first you need to define data type, and then you need to write variable, then you will write variable name. Okay, you can give variable name, any name. This is actually user dependent. Any name you can give. Okay, now example I would give is like this. Example is, say for example, if you want to store int type of values, okay, you will declare one variable as int, and any variable name you would like to give, you can give a also, it's fine. Now here termination you need to do by putting the semicolon. Now what you are doing over here is, in this, once you are writing this much, this is known as declaration. This is known as what? Declaration of a variable. Okay, now in this declaration of variable, what is happening? This variable A is actually pointing towards one small memory that has been created. Okay, in a memory, one small memory has been allocated. Here I'll write memory allocated. Okay, this memory has been allocated, and the address of that memory, not the address, you can also say that the memory that has been created, that memory, to that memory this variable is actually pointing. Okay, that variable is actually pointing. Okay, now how much would be the capacity or the capacity of this memory? It totally depends upon the data type. If you have used byte and short, the capacity of this memory would be less. Okay, if you have used int and long, it will be more than the others. Okay, now this is declaration part only. Now what happens when you are just writing declaration? Int a, once you have written this, a actually would be pointing towards a small piece of memory that has been created and allocated to variable a. Now this memory has been created. Now what we need to do after that, we need to see that the initialization part is coming or not. Okay, but first of all, what did happen in the declaration? Memory get allocated, a memory got created, and variable points to the memory. Variable points to the memory. Now after that, what is happening? After that, we are going to have initialization. Second part would be initialization. Now inside this initialization, this is the second step. Now inside this, what do we do? First syntax you have already seen, that is first you need to write data type and then you need to provide the variable name. So left hand side is already done. Now from here, what you need to do is you need to put variable name, whatever the variable name is there, inside that what value you want to put. Okay, this value sometimes they also call as literals, literals, literals. I'll just write it literal. Okay, so whatever value you want to provide, that you can assign it to the variable. That's why we have in between assignment operator. Means this value equals to this variable. That means this value directly sweeps into the memory. So over here, if I give you an example, a equals to 30. Okay, a equals to 30. So whatever the memory was there, okay, where a was actually pointing, inside that 30 has been initialized. It has been put inside this memory. Okay, got it. Now second thing we have already done, that is initialization. Now let's see what is there in utilization. Okay, so third part is nothing but utilization. In utilization, what happens that some or the other way you have to utilize the variable. How would you utilize this variable? Say for example, you are going to utilize by writing system dot out dot print. Okay, inside this you will just call variable. What is this? Variable. Now whenever the turn comes for this variable to be utilized, what actually happens that this variable will vanish. This variable will vanish and value will be exposed. Okay, the variable will vanish, means it will be removed, it will go, and the material inside it, the value inside it will be exposed and it will be printed. So this is how the journey or the life cycle of a variable is. First we do one round of declaration, then for that declared variable we do the initialization, and once inside the memory the value is there for a variable, then we do the utilization. Okay, got it? Now let's do a practical implementation of this and let's have a look. For this, what I would like to do is I would like to create one package. So inside this src folder, I'll select src folder and I'll click on I'll do a right click and then I'll go to new and then I can click on package. But on top also I can see that package is already there, but sometimes it will not be there. So I'll just write it as variables finish. Okay, now it looks white because nothing is there inside it, so I need to add one class. Right click, add a class, and I would put it as add. Okay, inside this I would like to have a main method, so I'll check this checkbox and I'll click on finish. Now I don't want this line, so control, I'll just click over here and I don't want this line, control D, that line would be gone, control S to save it. Okay, now let me declare a variable inside it, int a. What is this actually known as? This is nothing but declaration. Okay, now so variable has been declared. Now let us initialize this also. So what I need to do, initialization also I would like to do. So a equals to 30. Equals is what? Equals is assignment operator. Now okay, now after this let's do the utilization. Okay, now if I would like to print value of a, so I'll just say value of a is space, just I'll put plus and I'll just write a. Okay, so what will happen? Concatenation means joining will happen. Concatenation means joining. So this string will get attached with this value, so it will become what? Readable. So it will be more useful for me. So right click and let's see what happens. Right click, run as server, or right click, run as Java application. So value is 30. So what has happened, that the variable has been vanished and the value has been exposed. So this is very cool. Now we are able to see this also. Inside this only, let's go a little below and let's see that we can also declare and initialize a variable in single line. Do you know that? Yeah, obviously you might be knowing. So see here, how do we go? Say for example, if you want to use another data type, that is string name equals to some string value you'll give. What is string? String is nothing but collection of characters. So I'll give my name, that is Rakesh. Okay, and I would like to have this initialization also. So this part is known as what? This part is known as declaration, and from here till here is known as what? Initialization. Okay, declaration and initialization in single line. Got it? Now this is your one journey of a variable. You would like to print it also. Let's have a print. Let's have a print over here. I'll just write value of name is plus name. Got it? Now I'll just run it as Java application. That's it. Now the value of name is nothing but Rakesh. Got it? This is your variable. Okay, now let's do one more type of program. Okay, I don't want to have only one program. Let's do one type of operations that will be very interesting. So let's go to class and let's create one class which is named as operations. Inside this I would like to have a main method. Okay, Now one main method has already been created. I would like to add another method also. We can have multiple methods also, that is no worry also. So let's create public static void. Say I'm just going to create one type of add method. What all things I have used: access specifier, modifier, return type, and name of the method. Inside this I am going to initialize few of the variables. Okay, now later on what I will do is I'll call this add method inside main method and I'll try to execute it. Now inside this, if I'm just writing int a equals to 60, see guys, this is totally new class. Okay, new class means this operations is a new class. Now int b equals to 10, got it. Now int c equals to, you just have a look. Now what is happening over here, I'm just stating that over here is int a equals to 60, int b equals to 10. Now a is nothing but one memory inside which 60 has been initialized. Now b is nothing but one memory inside which 10 has been initialized. Now I'm saying that int c is nothing but a plus b. Now what did I say? Whenever you are trying to fetch or utilize any variable will vanish and the value will be exposed. So this c will become what? Addition of a plus b. So a will vanish and value will be exposed, plus b will vanish and value will be exposed. So 60 plus 10 is what? 70. So c equals to 70. This will become this, correct? So let's go ahead and see a plus b is what? We always need to do a termination just by putting the semicolon at the last. So here it is. Now let's see, if I call this method, if I just call this method, I need to put plus over here, sorry. If I call this method inside a main method like this, and inside this, yeah, here, this is how we call a method. This is the name of the method, parenthesis and then semicolon. That's it. That is how we call a method. Now let's run this and see what happens. So what happens, you know, whenever the execution is happening, in the execution sequence also it will become very easy for you. Whenever the execution is happening, inside the execution, JVM always searches for main method and it takes what all things has to be executed from main method only. Okay, so it is a counter on which whatever these deliveries or the orders are coming in, okay, this counter will tell that yes, these all orders are there, you just have to execute it. Okay, so main method is nothing but one type of a counter. Okay, I'm just trying to attach it with the real life, you'll get to understand. Now right click, run as Java application, you'll get to see run as Java application. Oh sorry, I have not tried printing it, right? So system.out.println, I would like to print value of C, addition of two number is plus C. Okay, now if I just execute it, what will happen? It will showcase the value. See, addition of two number is 70. Got it? Now let us understand how can we do the subtraction. So let's create another method, public static void. I'll just write as sub means subtraction, because it is user dependent. Whatever name I would like to give, I can give. So let's access this a and b over here. We have already declared a and b in one of the method, right? Add method. I would like to access it over here. So let's see. I'll just write int d equals to a minus c. Correct? Now what is happening over here, guys? I'm getting two red underlines. What is that? Let's hover over there and let's see. Create local variable a, or here also same. Here what it is saying, multiple markers at the same line, a cannot be resolved to a variable. It does not know whether the a is a variable or not, c is a variable or not. It does not know. Why? Because inside the premises of add method you have actually declared a variable. That's why it cannot be accessed in another premises. Okay, now what it is, these type of variables whenever it is declared inside a method, then it is known as local variable. These are what? Local variables. Okay, they are also known as temporary variables. Okay, for short period of time, if it has to be utilized, they are known as temporary variables. Most of the time, 99.99% of the time, they are known as local variables. Okay, this is just a synonym. Now you have declared this variable inside add method, so they are not accessible inside sub method. Whenever the execution happens, this one thing is known as activation record. Okay, in the execution sequence you will get to understand this. Now once the job of this thing is done, it will be removed from the stack memory. Okay, it will be removed. So once it is removed, guys, how the system will get to know what is a, what is b, what is c? It will not get to know anything. That's why you need to declare it over here also once again. Okay, now that's why this is known as scope of a variable. Scope of a variable. What does that mean? Scope of a variable means that once the variable has been defined in any of the method, it would not be accessible in another method. Scope of a variable means accessibility of the variable, whether this variable is accessible inside another method or not. Okay, but now here we got to know that local variables are temporary variables. They are not accessible outside the method. Okay, that's why we are getting error over here. So let me put it as this. So if I have to do the subtraction over here, I'll have to describe again. I can write int a equals to 70 and int b equals to 30. Okay, now see, no error you will be getting. Okay, now no error. And if you would like to print that as well, you can print it very well. Value subtraction of to value is plus d. Okay, right click, run as Java application. Addition of two number is this. Okay, I have not called this method inside this, so I have just called, that's it. Now let's run it as, I do not want to run like this. I already ran it over here, right? So I can just press this button, or I can press F11, so it will run. Yep, subtraction of two value is 40. Now here we have understood that what are local variables and what is the scope of local variable. Local variable will not be accessible inside another method. Okay, local variable will not be accessible outside the method in which it has been declared. Okay, and inside local variable also we got to see one more thing. You can declare and initialize local variable in two different lines. It is fine, totally fine. Okay, it is totally fine. Now over here only, if you would like to come over here only, let's do declaration without initialization. Let's see, int x, that's it. Declaration without initialization. Okay, but I'm going to use this variable to print the value. So let's have a look. I'll just write it as value of x is plus x. Okay, value of x is this. Now I'm getting error. Guys, what I'm trying to do over here is the declaration part I have already done, and initialization I have not done, but I am trying to do the utilization. See, if one variable, it is saying that for a local variable, it is saying that for local variable, it is saying that boss, you just wrote like this, int x. This is nothing but declaration. Okay, now this actually created one type of memory. Okay, one type of small memory it created, but there is no value inside it. Okay, so what type of error you are also getting? Just let's have a look inside Eclipse only, because in Eclipse auto compilation happens. That's why we have got the error. Let's have a look over here. The local variable x may not have been initialized. Getting my point? For local variable, actually JVM does not provide any type of values. If you have forgotten initialization, JVM will not provide any value to the local variable. Okay, for local it is not vocal. Okay, the JVM is not vocal for this local. That's why it is must to declare and initialize the variable inside the method. That is, for whatever the local variables that you are writing or you are going to write, okay, after the declaration it is must to do the initialization for the local variables. Getting my point? Now over here only, if I do this, this is going to print. This is not going to create any issue. See, value of x is 50. Okay, so for local you will have to have what? The value. Okay, now we have understood local variables. Okay, now we have understood local variables. That's it. Okay, now we will get to understand about the different type of variables. Let's get started.